Diddy, you know Diddy?
Diddy,
one of my best friends,
okay.
Right? Okay. When you want to be a Kappa, you want to be Kappa, you want to be Alpha, whatever the f it is, okay? We're gonna haze you and haze you and haze you until you are a Kappa. That's what happened. People sold their souls to Diddy. And then they're mad now because the hazing process was a little bit rougher than they thought.
Orlando Brown just flipped the entire Diddy case on its head. The former Disney star, known for his wild antics, is now the government's secret weapon. He's got voice memos, hidden phone data, and recordings from inside Diddy's most exclusive estates. We're talking hazing rituals, red-lit hallways, staff using coded phrases like heartbeat reset, and timestamps that sync exactly with router logs and lighting systems. And now, he's testifying under oath. Federal prosecutors are building a digital fortress around Diddy, and Orlando's memos are the foundation. If the jury buys this, it won't just ruin Diddy's legacy. It could send him away for good. This isn't gossip anymore, this is war. And it's playing out in a federal courtroom.
Nigga, you can't de-king a king. Why do you think I love Diddy so much? You're not gonna dethrone this man because he know how to get you there. By way of hazing you, I call it haze. And we're gonna still do this. We're gonna still do this. It's not gonna stop. Take that. It's still gonna happen. The bitch got 3 million and we're still waking up in the morning, drinking cognac, screaming, bad boy, bad boy.
Nobody saw this coming. Orlando Brown, the same guy who once made headlines for rants, rehab stints, and bizarre interviews, is suddenly at the center of one of the biggest federal cases in music history. And he's not just talking this time, he's under a legally binding cooperation deal, forced to tell the truth or risk losing everything. Court records confirm it. Orlando accepted a federal subpoena and is now a star witness against Sean Diddy Combs. But here's where it gets insane. He didn't just show up with stories. He brought receipts, actual recordings, voice memos from 3 separate weekends inside Diddy's luxury properties, and he claims they were taken in real time. Using a secret phone he kept in airplane mode to avoid detection, he tracked everything. Guest lists, staff movements, lights flickering at odd hours, hallway activity. He didn't miss a thing. And when federal agents got their hands on the files, the metadata lined up perfectly with internal router logs they had already pulled from the estate's security system. Orlando Brown might have entered this courtroom as a joke to some people, but he just became the prosecution's biggest threat.
Well, Bill and Sade, accepting a plea agreement would mean that Sean Combs would have to admit to trafficking and force. And today he made it very clear that was not going to happen. Diddy maintained all along these encounters involved consenting adults and plans to take his chances that a jury agrees.
The recordings are disturbing. In one memo, Brown rants about Diddy's hazing rituals, comparing them to secret society initiations. He claims people were pushed past their limits just to stay close to the power. You want to be king, he says, you're gonna get hazed like one. But this wasn't just drunken talk. The voice memos reveal details, down to the layout of the guest wing, what staff were doing late at night, and the specific time lights dimmed in the hallway. His second phone, used in stealth mode, captured it all. And the kicker? The metadata shows he was exactly where he claimed to be when he said he was there. Then came the coded language. Security radios used the phrase, heartbeat reset. At first, it sounds meaningless, until investigators figured out what it meant. Heartbeat reset allegedly referred to a coordinated shutoff of surveillance. Doors cycling, cameras dimming, lights flickering, a digital blind spot created on purpose, and it doesn't stop there. In one chilling clip, Brown says after sipping a drink, his face went numb, like he'd had a stroke. Another memo catches staff escorting groups through a set of mirrored doors under red, pulsing lights, what he called a running heartbeat. This isn't just gossip, it's a digital trail, and every red flag leads right back to Diddy's front door.
Diddy's trying to kill me. You know, Diddy and Jay-Z, Auntie Sean and Auntie Yolanda. No matter how many contracts you try to take out on my life, no matter how many times you try to threaten my family or threaten people to stay away from me, no matter how many things you try to do to me and how many things you've tried to do to me, it ain't working. Don't play with somebody that you know got the drop.
I literally took one sip of my beverage and the whole side of my face felt like I had a stroke.
Diddy's legal team isn't sitting quietly. The moment the prosecution dropped those synced up graphs and eerie voice memos, the defense launched a full-scale counterattack. Their strategy? Flip the narrative. Make it look like all of this, every log, every lighting dip, every linen order, is just business as usual in the world of ultra-rich celebrity estates. They brought in hospitality consultants who claim that hallway cameras are often turned off for guest privacy, not to hide anything illegal. They argued that special lighting effects and smart system overrides are part of the aesthetic, used all the time by stylists, photographers, and event coordinators to set a vibe. And the infamous heartbeat reset code? They said it's just a harmless lighting feature, something mentioned in the estate's internal housekeeping guide, a visual gimmick, nothing more. They even attacked the metadata itself. Defense attorney Matthew Hartley grilled the digital forensics team, suggesting the phone could have been preset to record or even tampered with before being handed over. But the experts pushed back hard, showing that the files were raw, unedited, and synced down to the second with the estate's operating system logs. Still, the defense kept swinging. They claimed Orlando Brown has every reason to lie. He's tangled up in a separate gun case in Nevada and could get leniency if he plays nice with the feds. In their eyes, this whole thing, it's a desperate stunt by a troubled actor trying to save himself by blowing up someone bigger.
Isn't that, to my mind, that's one of the bigger hurdles in selecting a jury this coming week, is that there is, at least anecdotally, when I talk to people, they have that opinion, strongly held opinion, that there's celebrity tapes, that they've kind of conflated Epstein, and you mentioned Ghislaine Maxwell and all of these things into Diddy. There's this idea that somehow this is Epstein redux or something.
The defense wants one thing crystal clear for the jury. Orlando Brown has something to gain. He's not just testifying because it's the right thing to do. He's under a federal cooperation agreement tied to his own legal problems in Nevada. And if he delivers for prosecutors in the Diddy case, he could walk away with reduced charges, or even a full deal. That's the defense's angle. Paint him as a self-serving actor playing the role of a whistleblower. But prosecutors came locked and loaded. They hit back hard, revealing that Brown's cooperation agreement is brutal. Any lie, any exaggeration, and the entire deal disintegrates. Not only would he lose his shot at a plea deal, but every word he's spoken under oath could be used against him. It's high risk, high pressure, and that's exactly the point the prosecution hammered home. To drive it further, they leaned into the consistency of his recordings, real-time narration, timestamps lining up with physical evidence, and even background noise matching up with the building's official blueprints. Prosecutors claimed Brown didn't just show up with drama, he brought evidence that's impossible to fake. Still, the tension is obvious. The jury knows Brown isn't squeaky clean. They've heard the stories, seen the headlines, and watched the viral clips. The real question isn't whether he's troubled. It's whether a man like that, with everything on the line, would dare fabricate something this detailed, knowing it could blow up in his face.
I got on a plane at 5:30 a.m. Go to this party. I think half the people there were butt naked.
Well, it's not up to me. It's up to Mr. Combs, and I don't see it happening.
Why?
Because he believes he's innocent. He believes he's innocent, and what's more, he believes that he needs to stand up, not just for himself, for his family, and for everybody who's been targeted by the federal government.
The moment Orlando Brown stepped onto the witness stand, the courtroom shifted. This wasn't the chaotic, erratic Brown from TMZ clips. This was a calm, focused witness locked into a federal deal. He confirmed the voice on the tapes was his. No hesitation, no stuttering, just a direct, "Yes, that's me." Then the lights dimmed, literally and figuratively. Prosecutors played the first memo, Brown's voice, North Wing, second corridor. A faint click, then radio static. Heartbeat reset, boom. Right on cue, the prosecution threw a router log onto the screen, showing his hidden phone connecting to the estate's guest Wi-Fi node seconds after the memo timestamp. The courtroom went dead silent. Then came the visual evidence, maps of the estate, lighting system logs, and motion-triggered camera stills. One showed a housekeeper pushing a cart labeled "Refresh" through the hallway Brown mentioned. The timestamp, within 60 seconds of the audio clip, it was airtight. But the defense wasn't backing down. They argued the image proved nothing, that refresh carts and hallway movement are common during large events, that the cameras were off for privacy, that the router connection was just a fluke, maybe the phone syncing its clock. Prosecutors snapped back. The phone had no SIM, no saved networks, and was kept in airplane mode. The only way it could connect, someone manually turned it on briefly, at exactly the moment Brown described. Then came the nail in the coffin, a voicemail from one of Diddy's own staff members saying, We'll have the heartbeat upgraded and ready. The defense tried to spin it as vague. The judge wasn't buying it. He ruled it admissible, reminding the court that earlier testimony had already confirmed heartbeat was internal lingo for surveillance control. With every clip, every data match, every synced event, the room got colder. This wasn't just witness testimony anymore. It was a live demonstration of how Orlando Brown, one of the most unlikely whistleblowers, managed to drag a global music icon into one of the most high-stakes trials in modern entertainment.
What made you come here to support Puff?
I'm supporting Puff because he's innocent, and I'm wholeheartedly believing his innocence, and I know he's innocent. So
You say you know he's innocent?
1,000%. Back up a little bit, please.
How can you support your father? How do you support him moving forward?
The courtroom drama might be focused on Diddy, but the ripple effect? It's tearing through the entire entertainment industry. Big-name talent agencies, some of the biggest in Hollywood, are rewriting their private event protocols overnight. They're now demanding real-time exits for guests, open phone policies, and the presence of neutral third-party reps who can document misconduct without needing approval. Private insurers are panicking. One of the top luxury event insurers just overhauled their coverage rules. They're now asking questions they never bothered with before, like who controls the lighting system, who monitors door locks, and whether staff communications are archived. Even lawmakers are jumping in. A new bill, the Creative Industry Guest Safety Act, is being fast-tracked. It proposes anonymous tip lines, mandatory surveillance logging, and standardized training for event security teams. And guess who's on the witness list? Orlando Brown, that's right. The same man who once spiraled through a public meltdown is now being praised by performer advocacy groups for stepping up and exposing what others stayed silent about. This case has gone way beyond one man's guilt or innocence. It's ignited a conversation about power, secrecy, and what happens behind closed doors in the world's most protected inner circles. Because if Diddy's estate, built like a fortress, can be cracked open by a guy with a hidden phone, then nobody in Hollywood is untouchable anymore. This isn't just about whether Diddy walks or serves time. It's about legacy, power, and the possibility that one of music's most dominant figures could go down in flames because of a second phone, a few voice memos, and a man the world had already written off. If the jury believes Orlando Brown, if they see those memos as raw, time-stamped truth, backed by technical data, then Diddy could face years in federal prison. Not for civil lawsuits, not for rumors, but for something far more dangerous. Digital evidence that lines up too perfectly to ignore. But if the defense manages to flip the narrative, if they convince the jury that this is all smoke and mirrors from a man desperate to save his own skin, then Diddy walks out a free man, and possibly more powerful than ever, having dodged what looked like an unstoppable takedown. And that's where things get dangerous. Because this trial isn't just a legal battle, it's a test. A test of whether the system can actually hold celebrities accountable when the receipts are this detailed. Or if fame still offers the ultimate protection. Either way, history is watching. And the final verdict? It won't just define Diddy's future. It'll redefine the rules of fame, power, and silence in Hollywood. If you're locked into this case like we are, hit that like button, drop a comment, and let us know. Do you think Orlando's telling the truth? Or is this just another headline in a long line of celebrity chaos? Either way, we're not even close to the end of this story. Stay tuned, because the deeper we go, the darker it gets.